Welcome back to Carrier Review, and I am going to be reviewing this latest episode of Love After Lockup. So let's just hop straight into it. Oh, also, like this video, subscribe, leave me a comment. Let's talk about this episode in the comments. So we're going to start off with Brittany and Marcelino, because I don't think that much happened with them. Her friend Amanda came to visit her, and I believe Amanda was the girl that was in the initial season that Brittany and Marcelino showed up, that Brittany was talking to. I guess she had a relationship with her while they were in prison, and Marcelino kind of found out about it afterwards, but I remember her. And Amanda comes over to visit, and Brittany kind of fills her in about what's going on with the money, with the guy who ran off with the money. And when Amanda's leaving, she's like, let me know if you need help getting your things from Robert. And Marcelino was like, wait, what are you talking about? And Brittany was like, well, I'll fill you in when she leaves. And as soon as Amanda leaves, Marcelino's like, what's going on? And Brittany's like, she just breaks down and tells him, like, look, we think he's still on drugs and the money is gone. And Marcelino flips out. He leaves. He tells her she pretty much just dropped the ball on that one, probably because she didn't do enough research and she wasn't probably taking his advice. But, don't quote me on that. I'm just speculating. And, yeah, I mean, he was really upset. And Brittany was like, look, I had to chill. Brittany was like, look, I'm sorry. I did not mean to have our family going through this. So, just don't leave. But he ended up leaving anyway because he just probably needed to just blow off some steam. So that was all for their segment. I'm also going to jump straight into John and Christiana. And Christiana lets John know that she's going for a walk, and while she's out on the walk, she reaches out to her son. And I actually felt really bad for her in this episode because she looks so sad when she's in her confessionals. And we found out that she gave her son up when he was 21 months, and she gave him to his dad to live with. And I think her son's like 20 or 21 years old now. So Christiana calls him, and I mean, to kind of look on the bright side, he did answer when she called him, and she just talks to him and invites him to a wedding that John and Christiana are supposed to be having. And let me see, yeah, that's pretty much all I have for them. Like, she invites her son to the wedding, and he lets her know, like, I'll think about it, and that's it. She also fills us in on why she gave him up, because she was dealing with some drug addiction issues. She was smoking crack while he was younger, and she just knew that she wasn't in a position to put him first over the drugs that she was using, and she harbors a lot of guilt because of that. So she's kind of trying to mend fences with her son at this point in his life and in her life. So the next couple I'm going to go to is Lacey, Shane, and John. Now, when we left off last time, Lacey was on the phone with John in the bathroom because she got upset over something that she saw in Sean's phone. And we found out that she's been talking to John. She's spoken to John on several occasions after she's had baby Summer. And this is also while she's been married to Shane, which is just trifling. Like, if you're going to move on and start a new life with somebody, let whatever you had going on before that, just let it go. It's no, we've always had a connection, yada, yada. Like, just let it go. Like, John should not be in the picture, but it's not a perfect world, so this is what we have. So she lets us know that John is still dealing with addiction, and Shane lets her dad know that he is depressed, and that he kind of went through a change after he had his daughter, and now he probably feels like a lot of pressure on him to provide and to do other things that he just may not be in a position right now to do, and it's really like messing with his mind. So Lacey asked John to meet her in person so that they can continue the conversation. And of course he says yes. And she just explains it off as like feeling neglected and not receiving enough attention from Shane at the moment. So she's running back to John. But to me, it's like, you decided to marry Shane, so you at least owe it to him to try to work through any difficult times that y'all have in y'all's marriage, because you're just not boyfriend and girlfriend anymore. Like, y'all have committed to each other. You've made it legal. You just had the baby together. Like, why would you... I feel messed up saying this, but why would you put the relationship in even more jeopardy? Because if you feel like he's doing wrong, and then to you, the best way to get back at him is to do him wrong, then that's kind of messed up, and it's not really going to resolve anything. It's just going to keep breaking y'all's trust in each other. So I just don't see the point in that. But Lacey's going to do what she wants to do because she is grown. She's an adult, and she's going to do what she feels like is best to kind of, I guess, protect her emotional and mental health dealing with this situation with Shane. Now, I'm going to move on to Stan and Lisa. When we get into the scene, Lisa is taking care of Stan, and you know, they repeatedly show something coming into Stan's phone, and they show him texting someone. Now, they don't show us who it is or what he's texting, so we can only basically just speculate on what's going on. And at one point in time, Lisa's sitting there with him, trying to give him medicine or something like that, when he receives a call, and he kind of ignores it. And she's like, no, don't ignore it, answering. And Stan's like, you know, it's nobody. He's trying to kind of wave it off. And she's like, no, answer it. Like, he pulls up his call log, and she see that I guess it's somebody named Tina, and she's questioning him like, who is that? Which I feel like she really has some nerve doing that, because when Stan went out with his friend on the last time we saw them on the show, she was in the backyard talking to somebody else, saying that, you know, she's keeping secrets from Stan. So I don't understand why she's so jealous. Maybe because they have the dynamic where she feels like she's the prize because she's younger than him, and that he can't get anybody better than her. But she's taking it as a slap in the face that he could possibly be talking to somebody else, which kind of probably is ruffling her feathers, because he's invested all this money in her. And if that's the main reason why she's with him, then yeah, she doesn't want anyone else to come into the picture so that he can stop taking care of her, and she can stop getting this lifestyle that she's slowly probably becoming accustomed to. And you know, on the other hand, Stan's like, look, she's not being that affectionate with me. She's asking for a lot of money. Like, she spent $300 and something when she went shopping, and she's asking for $400 more for a laptop and some gym shoes. But she wants the laptop for school. And Stan's like, I'm all about you bettering yourself and going to get your education, but why would I buy you a laptop when you haven't even enrolled in school yet? You usually don't start collecting things for school if you haven't even started the process to even be a student at a school. So, I mean, that makes sense. Like, I can understand if she was enrolled, she's looking to sign, you know, she's signing up for classes or whatever, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna need this, but that's just not the case. She's just like, I mean, it's only $400, but it's only $400 to you because you have not did any work to earn that money. So you're just like kind of spending it like a kid, you know, like money grows on trees. Like he says, we have to live. So spending $700 a week, I'm going to be broke in no time. So, and I don't think she understands that, because she has no sense of having, of what, value there is in living a comfortable lifestyle. Because I feel like just because to her, okay, he's a millionaire, so I can just spend as much money as I want whenever I want. But he's explaining to her like, look, I'm getting this money from the stock market. It goes up, it goes down. Like, sometimes I might get this, sometimes I might get that, and I don't think she's understanding that. So when she goes upstairs, she makes, you know, when she kind of storms upstairs because she's so upset with Stan, she kind of makes a statement and she's like, you know, I could have pretty much like any billionaire I want. But all the while, she's packing up her bags and she's packing her stuff in trash bags. And it's like, he's trying to show you a different way of living. And your mind isn't there yet. Like, you went out and spent $300 and something on clothes, but you're packing your clothes into a trash bag. Like, it never occurred to you to get like a suitcase. Like, I mean, goodness gracious, suitcases, what, about $40 or $50? Even as they sell suitcases at City Trends. So that I did not understand. Like, you can get a suitcase from Walmart. Like, you can get a suitcase from anywhere. So, like, girl, like, your priorities definitely are not straight. If you're going to be walking out and leaving every other week, like, at least invest in a suitcase. Lisa was kind of getting on my nerves this episode because I was like, you know, now the tables are kind of turning on her. And she's feeling like he's the one that's playing games, because she also gave him an ultimatum like, you know, I'm going to leave. You have 48 hours to call me. Let me know that you're committing to me and only me. And I want a wedding date set. And I also want a ring that's maybe $5,000 to $10,000. That'll be good enough. And I'm thinking in my head, like, you making all these demands, but when he brought that up to you when you were asking for a car, you were like stumbling and fumbling over your words, because you was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? How do you know that I'm not going to leave when you get me a vehicle? Like, I have to go to the store. Like, you was making a joke about it. And I'm sure he was being serious, and he knew that you was joking, and he still went ahead and got you the car. But that probably just let him know, like, where you stand within y'all relationship for you to not even be able to answer that question. So, I don't know. Lisa's kind of getting a dose of her own medicine, and I don't think she likes it. So, that is just, she gonna have to deal with that. Like, that's what I like about Stan, because, you know, even though he was like, kind of like, why are you acting this way? Like, I'm not talking to anybody. I don't want you to leave. I would actually prefer you to stay. Like, basically letting her know, like, I do want you to be here, and I'm not doing the things that you think I'm doing. But at the same time, you know, how does she get off accusing him and getting upset with him when she know that she's doing the same thing? Is that where the jealousy is coming from? So, Brittany and Ray. Ray gets his first paycheck from his job, and he says he's only been there for a week. So I'm assuming that he works at a job that gets paid weekly. Now, when he spoke to his family last week, I think I remember him saying he makes like $15 an hour, and he said he works 60 hours. So before taxes, because I had to get my calculator out when he was talking about they took $400 in taxes, that would be about $900 before taxes, maybe $8 something. And then if they took out the taxes, then maybe his check was like $400 and something. And he's working somewhere that gets paid every week. So every month he would be bringing in almost $2,000, and combined with whatever she brings in, that should, you know, be enough to get them going for within that first year of their relationship. Because even though it's not what he's used to, like, yeah, you can't compare working a job to selling drugs. You can use that job to start the business that you were talking about starting when you met her dad. So, I don't know. I understand he maybe got discouraged when he got his first check, but he has to think long term and bigger picture. Seemed like he's reacting to the right now. And meanwhile, while he's kind of stressing over his first check and the amount that he got paid, Brittany is out shopping with her sister. And when they both get back to the house, he's looking at Brittany like, oh, you went shopping? And she's like, yeah, I needed some new clothes and whatnot. And he's like, you know, well, I got my first check today and it was barely anything. And she was like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? You're just gonna, you knew this was coming. Like, you're just gonna have to make do with what we have. And he was like, oh, what am I supposed to do with this? And he gave her check, and Brittany was like, we're gonna make it work. Like, girl, like, she didn't hide her reaction at all. So she tries to give him this example of his money with pasta, and Ray proceeds to snatch the pasta off the counter, and he's like tossing the pasta into the trash can because he's like, oh, this is restitution. Throw it in the trash can. This is restitution. Throw it in the trash can. And, you know, Brittany's kind of trying to encourage him, and she's like, look, you knew that you had to pay it back. The government is going to want their money back that you stole in whatever, you know, amount of products that you were stealing. And, you know, we're going to make it work. We still can have a family. We still can get married. We still can get the ring. And he was like, honestly, I do not want to talk about it right now. And she did kind of keep going on and on. And he just walked off because he was just like, I'm going in the room because I just told you, like, I don't want to talk about it. Just drop it. I think she needs to give him time to kind of process what's going on, because if he was selling drugs before and he was used to having thousands of dollars per day, it's like you went to prison and you wasn't even bringing nowhere near that type of money in. Like, yeah, it's a different environment and you are not needing as much money because you're not paying bills, you're not paying a cell phone bill, like you're not paying all this stuff, even though you do need money while you're in prison. But I just don't think he's looking at the bigger picture. Or maybe he's thinking, like, maybe he is looking at the bigger picture and he's just like, this just not gonna be enough. So I don't know. I don't like the kind of more so aggressive side that he showed today. And maybe that's as bad as it gets. And when he gets upset, he just kind of just removes himself from the situation and just walks off. Maybe he's that type of person. But he was showing a little bit more emotion in this episode, so I was surprised. Now, the last couple that we're going to get to is Tia, Deontay, and Nicole. They start the scene off with Nicole going to her job interview, and she has on an outfit that her and Tia picked out. The lady interviews her, and then she drops the bomb by asking Nicole, what did you get convicted for? And when Nicole said robbery, the lady was like, you know, well, we have other applicants to interview, so we'll basically be in touch. Which I don't feel like the lady would be in touch, but I feel like Nicole was kind of out of touch, just like Deontay was when he met her mom, because when she came out of the interview, she was like, you know, I think that interview actually went really well. And I'm like, maybe they edited out things that we did not see. But to me, I do not think that interview went well, because as soon as she said robbery, I think that kind of put the lady off and made her kind of look like, ugh, like that's, like, I can understand if you were talking about, she would probably even have let her slide with a DUI, because that's not, you know, where no one else was hurt. Because it's like, it would be, I guess, on the spectrum of, yeah, you have a bad habit, but you're not stealing from anybody. You didn't kill anybody. And I just think that her particular charge is going to make it really hard for her to find a job. But nonetheless, Tia showed up after her job interview and brought her coffee, and Tia's telling her, like, look, I'm sorry that you don't have the advantages that I have, because according to Nicole, Tia's mom has, her family has money, and they often use that to support Tia financially, and Nicole does not have that. So they devised a plan to for Nicole to call Deontay and hit him up and just continue to use him for money and gifts. And Nicole's just, you know, she's describing him like, oh, well, he's a really sweet guy. He would shower me with gifts and he would give me just whatever I needed. He like took care of me. And I feel like she's really missing that, but she didn't appreciate it when she had it. And she still doesn't seem like she's attracted to him at all. So she calls him. Derek and Deontay are at Deontay's house, I believe. And Derek's telling him, like, do not answer it, because he told Derek Nicole's calling him. And Derek was like, just don't answer the phone. But he ends up answering, and he's open to meeting her because, you know, she's just like, oh, well, can we meet somewhere? I miss you. And he's like, yeah, I actually would be interested in meeting you somewhere and seeing what you have to say. And he justifies it by saying his last girlfriend, when he ignored her and did not give her a second chance, she ended up passing away of a drug overdose, and he doesn't want the same thing to happen to Nicole. And this may be my Aquarius cold-heartedness coming out, because we're supposedly a cold-hearted sign. It's not his fault that she chose to use drugs and overdose because they weren't together anymore. And I don't think that he should carry that around with him and blame himself for that. That was her choice to make. In taking whatever drug that she took, which caused, you know, the ultimate consequence, which is her passing away. And I don't think that that's a good reason for him to go back to Nicole, because if something did happen to Nicole, it would not be his fault. It wouldn't necessarily be because he didn't ever give her another chance and he ignored her. So kind of carrying that burden around, to me, it's just like, why? You're dealing with another adult who has their own choices to make in life. And I feel like every time you make a choice, it sends you down this path or it sends you down this path. And if you're making bad choices, it's going to send you down a path of bad consequences. And if you're making good choices, it's going to send you down a path of having good consequences. So for him to carry that burden around, that's a lot. That's a lot on a person. And I don't feel like he should be doing that, because it's not his fault that she chose to make that decision, which led to her death. Like, and it sounds really messed up, but I mean, that's honestly just how I feel. I understand that he does have emotions and feelings about it, and, you know, nobody can take that away from him, but I honestly don't feel like he had anything to do with that. They went through what they went through. The relationship was, you know, coming to an end because of certain things, because if it were meant to work out, it would have worked out, and it did not. So, you know, Derek thinks he's stupid for answering the phone, wanting to meet with her because he's just now kind of getting over, not even getting over her, but he's starting to date and trying to get on a different path and get further away from her. But Derek's just like, you stupid, because you are giving this girl another chance. And Deontay's like, well, you know what? I'm open to make mistakes. But Derek was like, why do you have to make mistakes and take a chance and a risk on her? You can continue to make mistakes. That's understandable. But you're continuing to give people chances who have proven that they don't care about you and that they, you know, have no other intention other to use you and or hurt you. I don't understand. And Derek made a good point. He said she didn't even, the first thing that should have come out of her mouth, if she was sincerely, you know, remorseful for what she did, was an apology. And she didn't even apologize when she called you. She just said, hey, can we meet? I miss you, yada, yada. Meanwhile, Tia's sitting right there in front of her because they have this grand scheme for Nicole to get back with Deontay for the sole purpose of using him and for him to take care of her financially while she's still in a relationship with Tia. And Tia says that's okay as long as she's loyal. So at this point in time, they're both being trifling. Like, it's just trifling. But if he does end up getting in a position where he gets back with her and she uses him, then at this point, then it's on him. Anything that happens is on him. It's his fault because she showed him her true colors, and she should believe him. I don't know. I was Deontay. I was just like, boy, like, come on. What are you doing? And then Tia had the nerve to tell Nicole she don't think she should take the job. You're not going to support her, because if that was the case, y'all would be outside. She would not be living with her mom, and she wouldn't have that same, I don't know if that's the same cell phone that Deontay is paying for. Like, is he still paying for a cell phone? I want to know that. And I don't know, like, let me see. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything. I think Deontay has a fear of, it almost seems like an abandonment issue. Like, oh, well, if I don't give my all to this person, I'll lose them forever. But you can't give your all to everybody because everybody not going to appreciate it. And with him being 34, you would think that that's a life lesson that he would have learned by now. But he has not. And it seems like he does not value himself as much as he can, you know, as much as he should. And it's something going on with that. Like, people make jokes like, oh, is he slow? Did he have an IEP in school? Or he was on the slow bus and all this other stuff. And, you know, although it may seem humorous and funny at the time, like, he actually may have some self-esteem issues to continue to put himself in this position of giving people chance after chance after chance, and justifying it by saying, you know, if I don't do this, then this will happen. Or if I don't do this, instead of just having the mindset of, I don't deserve to be treated that way. I refuse to let you treat me that way. And if you treated me that way before, then I'm not going to give you a chance to treat me that way again. So, I mean, I think people forget that men can also have self-esteem issues as well as women. And I honestly do think at this point that Deontay does have some self-esteem issues, or it could be a fact that he wants to be with a certain type of person so bad that he's willing to deal with whatever because he feels like that's what he's going to have to do in order to be able to get that. And it's not true. You don't have to put up with nobody's crap that's not treating you right in order to get what you want, because guess what? It's always going to be somebody else that fits within that same category, maybe even within the same, you know, looks or whatever you feel like you're looking for. And I feel like he is kind of judging the situation off of how she looks and from what she told him while she was in jail. But I mean, what is talk without any kind of action behind it? I don't understand that. Like, this episode, it seemed like nothing much. I mean, it seemed like more happened with the couples, but it also seemed like it was nothing much. So I'm gonna still give this video a thumbs up. I mean, this particular episode, but you know, a lot of the people, I mean, this episode was kind of just sad to me a little bit, especially with Christiana, Lisa and Stan, not so much. But to me, the situation with Deontay is sad. The situation with Christiana and her son is sad because she's dealing with a lot of demons. And I feel like the situation with Lacey Shane is sad because she feels she's not able to commit to someone and she thinks that Shane is the issue, when she's going to continue to keep this guy in her back pocket just in case things don't go right, instead of actually just trying to work on her marriage and make it last. Since she made that commitment and she's, you know, had this person around her kids and all kind of stuff. Like, girl. So this episode, I don't know, this episode was kind of pulling me in all kind of different directions because I was just like, it just really had me thinking about things in a certain way, this episode. But that's all for Love After Lockup. Thank y'all for watching Curia Review. I am going to try to make another appearance with a video that is separate from Love After Lockup and American Horror Story. I'm also a fan of Star Trek. I know y'all have seen my shirts before. I am definitely a Trekkie, so I definitely plan on making some Star Trek videos in the future, especially because I'm kind of in the middle of watching Enterprise right now, so I really want to make a video talking about that, and kind of touching on some other things in my little Star Trek universe. But as far as for this show, that was it. I don't know, the people in this episode this time kind of had my emotions going in a different way, instead of it being more like a humorous type thing, because I don't know, this episode, it seemed so serious, like, especially even the way that Ray came off at Brittany when he was throwing that pasta into the trash can, like, to me, I would have been like, wow, that's a red flag. Like, he's really angry. And I understand people have the right to be angry, but to me, it's like all about how they handle it. I don't like the way he handled getting the check, even though I know he does need to deal with, even though I feel like he needs to be more on optimistic is the word I'm looking for. I feel like he was being really pessimistic, and that takes me back to a place that I do not want to be as far as dealing with someone that was extremely pessimistic, and I don't like that. Like, I don't think it's anything wrong with looking on the bright side, especially when things you feel like are not going in your favor. So y'all let me know what y'all think about these couples, because they was giving me a different kind of energy this episode. And that's it. Thank y'all for watching Kyria Review. I'm Kyria, and good night, y'all.